Ma Rainey, known as the Mother of Blues, also known as Queen Mother of Classical Blues. She was a musical innovator, poet, lyricist, composer, mentor, performer, and also had a very overwhelming presence. She was the voice of the South, singing of the South to the South. This was said by jazz historian Charles Edward Smith. She was born in 1886 to Thomas and Ella Pridgett, but she was also the second of 5 children. She grew up in a very poor family in Columbus, Georgia, and was baptized into the First African Baptist Church. Both of her parents and grandmother were reported to have been show entertainers. She was trained as a child to be a singer and a dancer. At only age 14, she was singing in the show Bunch of Blackberries, which was a local talent show presented in Springer Opera House in Columbus, Georgia. After then, she worked in tent shows. Ma Rainey was an eye-catching performer, although she was not considered very attractive. She wore crazy horsehair wigs and gold coins around her neck. She also carried an ostrich feather and had gold teeth that flashed when she sang. Although she attracted audiences due to her looks, it was her demanding voice that captured her audience.
In 1902, the story goes, so stricken by the moving song she overheard a woman singing about the man she lost, young Pridgett learned the song and incorporated it in an act. Audiences responded with special enthusiasm to the song, Memphis Blues, recorded in 1914. She traveled with minstrel groups and performed in tent shows. She toured in F.S. Wolcott's Rabbitfoot Minstrels, Tolliver's Circus, and Musical Extravaganza, all which were tent shows. They toured for over 3 decades in places such as the South, Midwest, and in Mexico. Ma Rainey was one of the first women to incorporate blues in minstrel and vaudeville shows. She blended styles such as country blues and early jazz, and had many hit songs she wrote herself. In 1928, Paramount Records dropped her because they felt her style had been outdated. They said it was down-home material. Ma Rainey retired in 1935 and moved back to Columbus, Georgia after her mother and sister passed away. There she managed 2 theaters to make earnings, the Lyric and the Aerodrome.
Regarding Ma Rainey's music and performances, she read absolutely no music and depended on the bands which she performed with and rehearsed many times. Her music reflected her deep connections with poverty, sexual abuse, jealousy, and loneliness. She counseled women to trust no man, not even their own, and advised them to be mean and careful in regarding to talking in their sleep. Her vocal style was a raw moaning style and admirable phrasing. She would moan and the audiences would moan with her. She had the audience in the palm of her hand. Her Georgia Jazz Band included many recognized musicians such as Tony Landier and Coleman Hawkins. An interesting fact about Ma Rainey's love life is how she was rumored to have a relationship with the beautiful and talented Bessie Smith. Prove It On Me Blues, playing in the background of this video, a surprisingly frank song about lesbianism, is based on the relationship. It is hard to imagine, given Rainey's bisexuality, that this did not reflect her own feelings.
It was generally accepted that Ma Rainey was interested in women just as much as men. There was not enough evidence to prove that Ma Rainey was bisexual. However, it was implied and rumored that Ma Rainey introduced Bessie Smith into lesbian relationships. It was also implied that Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith spent a lot of time with one another, more romantically. Ma Rainey died later in 1939 due to a heart disease. Her death went unnoticed. Her death certificate said that she was a housekeeper, although she had been in the music industry for 4 years. Just as she died, her music began to gain attention amongst collectors and critics. In 1983, she was added to the Blues Foundation's Blues Hall of Fame. In 1990, she was added to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 1993, she was added to the Georgia's Woman Achievement. In 1994, a U.S. Postal Service issued a stamp in her honor. Like a fan, talk to the girl just like